You're scrolling through a sea of ultra-wide monitors, wondering if any of them are actually worth the space they take up and the price tag they carry. It's a legit worry you don't want to splurge on a screen that looks amazing on paper but ends up gathering dust because it doesn't fit your desk, your games, or your workflow. And if you're like most gamers and creators, you've probably heard the hype about Samsung's new 49-inch Odyssey G9 QHD and are trying to decide if that hype translates into real-world value. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's put this monster in context. The 49-inch Odyssey sits in the ultra-wide, Dual QHD segment, meaning it essentially combines two 27-inch 1440p panels into one massive 32:9 canvas. That kind of real estate is a game-changer for people who want a single, seamless view for both gaming and productivity. It's not a TV you mount in the living room, it's a desk-bound workstation that aims to replace a multi-monitor setup while delivering a truly immersive experience. The fact that Samsung has gone with a QHD panel means you're getting the deep blacks and vibrant colors you'd expect from OLED, but with quantum dot technology pushing the color volume higher than a regular OLED would. If you're a competitive gamer, the specs that usually catch your eye are the 240 Hz refresh rate and the 0.03 milliseconds response time. In practice, that translates into buttery smooth motion and virtually no ghosting, even in fast-paced shooters or racing sims. I've seen it paired with a top-tier RTX 4090, and the frame time consistency stays rock solid at high settings. What's more, the G-Sync compatibility and FreeSync Premium Pro mean the monitor can dynamically match whatever GPU you throw at it, slashing, tearing, and stutter without you having to fiddle with custom refresh rates. For someone who lives for that competitive edge, the G9 feels less like a luxury and more like a functional tool. But the value isn't just in raw speed. The curvature set at a 1000 R radius matches the natural curvature of the human eye, which helps reduce the need to constantly refocus when your gaze sweeps from one edge to the other. In real-world terms, that means longer gaming sessions feel less taxing, and when you switch to a spreadsheet or a video editing timeline, you can keep everything in view without turning your head. The glare-free coating also matters if you have windows behind you or bright ceiling lights. You won't be fighting reflections the way you would on a glossy 4K TV. Now, let's talk about who actually benefits from all of this. If you spend hours in flight simulators, open-world RPGs, or even deep-dive data analysis, the extra horizontal space lets you line up instrument panels, maps, and chat windows side by side without a bezel interrupting the flow. For streamers, the Dual QHD resolution means you can have a full-screen game on one half while the other half hosts your OBS overlays, chat, and alerts, all without dropping resolution. Creative professionals who edit video or work with large timelines also find the widescreen handy. You can see more of your timeline at once, which cuts down on the constant scrolling that a traditional 16:9 monitor forces you into. On the flip side, if you're a casual gamer who mostly plays indie titles or sits in a modest bedroom, the G9 might feel like overkill. The sheer width demands a deep desk at least 30 inches of usable surface to keep the viewing distance comfortable. If your desk is shallow, you'll end up craning forward, which defeats the ergonomic promise of the curvature. The price point is also a factor. It sits well into the four-figure range, and you'll need a fairly recent graphics card just to drive it at native Dual QHD with high refresh rates. Pair it with a mid-range GPU, and you'll be forced to dial down settings or accept lower frame rates, which undercuts the whole high refresh argument. Because it's an OLED panel, there's a legitimate concern about burn-in if you leave static UI elements on the screen for too long. Think HUDs, health bars, or persistent chat windows. Samsung's automatic brightness control does help by dimming the backlight when the content is darker, which can reduce overall strain, but it doesn't fully eliminate the risk of image retention. If you're the type who leaves your monitor on with a static desktop for hours, you might want to set a screensaver or schedule periodic pixel shifting routines. For most gamers who turn the monitor off after a session, the risk stays low, but it's worth noting. Another practical trade-off is HDR performance. While QHD gives you incredible black levels and color accuracy, The peak brightness caps lower than some high-end LED panels that push 1000 nits. In bright rooms or when you're chasing the most intense HDR highlights in games like Red Dead Redemption 2, the G9 won't blow you away with dazzling highlights, but the contrast ratio makes shadows pop in a way that's still visually impressive. If you're chasing the absolute brightest HDR experience for